It is Friday, the 15th day of January, 2010. I am now going to cover one of the most important issues we have ever discussed on this radio broadcast. When I say that over 90% of the time when I cover an issue, it turns out it's worse than I thought. It's worse than we have said previously. And that is certainly the case with Barack Obama and his czars. As bad as Bush was, New World Order, staged terror attacks, fake wars, fake WMDs, Patriot Act, Obama has continued and expanded all of it. And now the Village Voice and Raw Story and all the big liberal publications are admitting he's a monster. But he's a monster because that's his job. 4 times the Wall Street money that John McCain got. Not that John McCain would have been good. Obama was the heir apparent. He was the corporate choice, the globalist choice. McCain would have been just as bad. But Obama was vetted. He was chosen. He engages in so many frauds that we cover in the Obama deception, that we cover in my other film from last year, Fall of the Republic. I mean, he lied about not hiring lobbyists. All he hired was lobbyists. He lied about saying he wouldn't do signing statements that are unconstitutional, where he just writes the laws however he wants after Congress passes them. He swore he wouldn't do that. He swore he'd have the most open government. He swore he'd end the war in Iraq immediately. Then it was 16 months and 20 months and 5 years. He's increasing all these other wars. He's expanding torture, secret arrest. He does little things like go, I'm fighting against these bailouts of the banks when his people all passed him. His people were in the private sector and government running it with Bush. They handed the baton off to him. Then he says, I've signed an executive order stopping executive pay and stopping bonuses to AIG, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citibank, and others. And then if you read the executive order, it said they could have unlimited. And the regulators from Goldman Sachs that run the government regulation at the SEC, they get to shut down bonuses to small banks and credit unions. And they get to come in with regulators and take over banks like Wahoo that were healthy. They have a license to steal other banks, insurance companies, to take over whatever they want. And his new tax on banks, I've read his proposal. It's a selective tax that his regulators, all J.P. Morgan and Goldman Sachs former employees, that's all they are. They pass bailout money and give it to themselves under Bush. They continue it under Obama and give it to themselves. I mean, it's just unbelievable magnitude of fraud. And yeah, you thought Bush was bad, tripling the size of government in 8 years, in less than 1 year in office. He hasn't even been in office a year. 8 months in is when we passed the Rubicon. More money. We're now 11 and a half months in. Within 8 months of being in office, he had spent more money than all presidents from George W. Bush to George Washington before him. And that's an official number. $12 trillion with interest on top of it. That's not even calculated. Without interest. More than all presidents before him combined, and he said he was going to balance the budget and cut spending. And he's still saying, I'm cutting spending and balancing the budget. That's like hacking someone's arms and legs off with a hatchet and telling him you're going to help them not bleed to death. Now he's hacked the arms and legs off, he just chopped the head off, and the final blood's spraying out, and he's saying, I'm helping you. I mean, it is just unbelievable, the level of brazen chutzpah or whatever, arrogance, aplomb, in-your-face hubris, imperial, insane, megalomania. But remember, he's just a front man, a Harvard lawyer reading off a teleprompter. It's the banks and the offshore corporations that are doing this. Now, I didn't drop the ball, but I just want to point out for new listeners, if you think we're exaggerating, it's almost always worse than I think. Every czar I look at, because I've only looked at a few in depth. Last night, I started randomly looking at all his other czars. Every one of them has declared themselves in books they've written or white papers in recent times that they are Marxist, Leninist, Maoist. I mean, folks, Mao killed 60-plus million people. openly say they're communist. Every stinking one of them. Every one of them. His diversity czar, his Office of Information Regulatory Affairs czar, his community organizing czars. I spent hour after hour last night. I couldn't believe it was worse than I even thought. Every one of them saying there's no Second Amendment, they will completely take your guns. Every one of them saying they want to ban free speech. Clip after clip of them saying, we want to do what Hugo Chavez has done and ban all media we don't agree with. We've got those clips. In fact, just for everybody right now watching on prisonplanet.tv, Google White House czar says he wants Hugo Chavez-style censorship. And you'll see multiple. It's a talking point. You'll see multiple ones doing it. The diversity czar and others. Go and Google, and you'll see video of them. This is not our opinion. This is not just their writings. People don't seem to take their own books serious. Written by them. If you Google the term, White House czar says Second Amendment needs to be overturned, you will get countless links. Look, you get Sunstein, you get them all when you put that term in. Yeah, it's the diversity czar one. Lloyd, it's right there. Obama's diversity czar, Lloyd, and Marxist. And then it goes into him, and there's video. Scroll down. There'll be video of him saying in a speech. The video's gone dead, so you need to go find it on YouTube. The point is there's so much of this. There's so many mountains of this where they're saying it. And they don't just say we're going to restrict some free speech with a fairness doctrine or censoring the web. They say we're going to outlaw criticizing government. They say we're going to infiltrate your groups and call for violence, posing as your groups, any grassroots organization, anti-war, pro-gun. It's everybody's listed by them. And we're going to come into your groups, and we're going to try to get those that don't leave to commit crimes so we can jail you. That's what one of the most powerful czars, Cass Sunstein, says, and we've got his quotes. We've got his white paper he wrote a year and a half ago and released. This is one of Obama's chief mentors. And we need to really let it sink in that these really are outrageous criminals that hate our freedom. Zoom in right here on this document, this article from prisonplanet.com. Obama information czar plan for government to infiltrate conspiracy groups. Sunstein called for COINTELPRO-style effort to silence truth army of hired provocateurs. But the main article I want printed, and I've asked Steve Watson to add the videos I sent him this morning. I want people to see it, not just links to it or not just quotes. Or ask Kurt Nimmo to add it, and we'll post it on InfoWars. One of the most important articles we've ever posted, titled, because it's not this one, Obama's favorite for Supreme Court Justice Sunstein wants to ban guns, free speech. I need to get that on screen for all the prisonplanet.tv viewers. Radio listeners can go there and read it. Good, he's added the videos. Literally, folks, I'm in a war room. It's the equivalent of somebody in a foxhole at the Alamo, and enemy soldiers are just climbing over us. I mean, I'm just like, fire at that one, intensify fire there, look at this, look at that. I mean, it is just mountains of them out in the open going, we're going to arrest you, we're going to ban your speech, we're going to ban hunting, we're going to ban the Second Amendment outright, we're going to take your guns, we're going to arrest you. I mean, it is unbelievable. And then scroll down for people on that article. Obama's favorite for Supreme Court Justice Sunstein wants to ban guns, free speech. Regulatory czar has already been tapped for senior position. And you scroll down, you can see the YouTube videos of him at Harvard and other universities openly hour after hour after hour. I got up at 6:30 this morning, went back downstairs on the computer and just kept watching him. I mean, it is one thing to read his Harvard and his Chicago law school papers written a year and a half ago calling for this. This guy now interprets and runs all executive enforcement of law. Remember John Yoo, One of the White House lawyers saying we can bury someone alive, pull their fingernails out, or crush a child's genitals in front of their parents. He wrote that in a White House memo. And then the Council on Foreign Relations was even freaked out by it. One of the members, Professor Castle, we had him on the show. He clandestinely recorded it. That's against CFR rules. And Castle said, isn't it true you wrote that you can torture small children in front of their parents? And John, you said, yes, the president is basically God. He can do whatever he wants. That was just a White House lawyer. This lawyer runs everything. He tells the Justice Department what to do. He tells everybody what to do. He was a Supreme Court clerk, as most later Supreme Court members are. That's one of the most popular people they tap, is someone who worked there out of law school. He worked for Thurgood Marshall.